I'm Owen Bigland. This is the Inside Edge video blog. Okay, by popular demand, I know you guys want to hear my opinion on the latest federal election here. So, as you guys know, I voted Conservative. I'm a Republican and a Conservative here in Canada. I just like common sense politics. I vote for the party that I think is, and I've told you guys, vote for the party that's going to interfere with me the least. I don't want really anything to do with government. I try and stay out of their way. I don't need them for anything other than renewing my passport and driver's license, and that's about it. So I've insulated myself from them. But, you know, I vote for the party that I think is going to get in my way the least, and that's usually, you know, Republicans in the States and Conservatives in Canada. So, you know, I can't say I'm not surprised. I mean, I saw the polling numbers leading up to the election that, well, they thought, I mean, the Liberals were going to really walk away with it with a majority. It turned out that wasn't right. It was a pretty narrow win by them, which is typical of, you know, politics everywhere. In BC, we're split right down the middle these days. The votes are so tight. In BC here, the NDP managed to squeak out the most narrowest of wins again. Not even sure if it was a legit win, according to some of the stuff I read online here, but who knows? So, you know, the Liberals in Carney won. Now, I'm a little, you know, I'm at the point where I've told you guys I'm completely indifferent to this stuff at my age now. You know, whoever's in power in provincially or federally is not going to make any difference to me, my finances, my well-being, my business in any way. But I do think that young people, of course, you know, if someone's in their 20s or 30s, you know, they probably are going to be a lot more affected by this. You vote in the Liberals again, which is odd to me because maybe the news isn't telling me the straight goods, because I keep reading that Canadians are struggling and 60 or 70% of Canadians couldn't even come up with $1,000 unexpected bill or charge. But yet we vote for the party that's been in power for the last 10 years that's put us here. And it's basically the same party, guys. Everyone's the same there. You've got Christina Freeland there and everybody else. We've just changed the leader. We've gone from Trudeau to Carney, which is kind of a Trudeau 2.0. But, you know, we'll see where it goes. I think I've talked to a lot of people, a lot of realtors. I mean, for me, probably the Liberals are the best way. You know, if you're an older person, you own real estate, you own stocks, businesses, it's just the status quo. You know, they'll keep spending money, keep things going, print more money. They'll be lowering the interest rates, which is good for me if you're using leverage and you have mortgages. But they're probably not very good overall for the long-term economy. I think the Conservatives would be a little bit better. But one thing I want to tell you guys about that maybe a lot of people that voted for the Liberals aren't aware of, because apparently it was the over 55 demographic, like me, that pretty much unanimously voted Liberal. It was the younger Canadians that pretty much all went Conservative. I voted Conservative, but I think I was in the minority for my age group. But, you know, people should understand, I've talked about this a few times, the Liberals, they want to tax your home equity. They're coming after your home equity, make no bones about it here. I mean, Trudeau admitted to it, and he was under the guidance of Carney anyways. Now, when Trudeau bumped that capital gains tax up last year, which they then repealed, that was something that Carney wanted nothing to do with. He did not want to raise that capital gains tax for good reason, because he knows that when you raise the capital gains tax, it has impacts on our economy, GDP, job growth, capital coming into the country and into the provinces. So it had a lot of repercussions. It probably offset any increased tax revenue. But the principal residence exemption, oh, they're licking their chops at this. Canadians currently have, I think, several $1 trillion in home equity that when they sell will go to them tax-free if it's their principal residence. Well, the latest things, you can look this up. The latest ideas, they floated a whole bunch of ideas, but for what I'm hearing, it's something called a fairness tax. And how it's going to work, they're not going to eliminate the principal residence exemption outright. But what they are going to do is implement a rolling tax on home equity, on your principal residence. And it's going to be anywhere from 1 to 2%. It'll be easy to calculate. It'll be the purchase price that you paid for the home compared to the current tax assessed for that year, and whatever that is. So let's say you bought a house 10 years ago, you got $1 million of equity in there, they will tax you at $10,000 if it's 1%, $20,000 a year if it's 2%. We're not sure where it's going to go. Now, this is coming. You know, I hear from good sources, you can go online, might come in later this year, might be another year. But this is perfect for them. We are broke, as you guys know. We are in a recession and have been for about 9 months. We're running huge deficits. We need money. And the best place for that is home equity. There's trillions sitting there. It'll be a fairness tax. You got to give back a little is what they're going to tell us homeowners. And it will have no effect on the economy or jobs or GDP or capital inflows or anything else. It's free money for them. And you know, how it'll work, who knows? I've talked to a few people. 1%, let's say, every year, rolling tax. If you're over 55, don't worry. We'll allow you to defer it just like your property taxes. We'll put a lien on the title, a charge on title, and then when you do sell it, you can then pay out the money you owe, plus interest, of course. They'll charge you interest on any of that deferral. So, you know, and the other thing it'll probably do is some people, if they don't have that cash, then they'll say, oh, cry us a river, sell the house. You've got $2 million of equity in there. Sell the home, take your $2 million, and go buy a smaller house or whatever else. And that'll be good for them too, and it'll be great for me as a realtor, if you really think about it, is because it will start that churn. You know, that's a problem we have in Canada, where baby boomers, older Canadians, are staying longer in their homes. I've done lots of blogs on it. So they're staying in their homes longer. Well, this will be a good catalyst to get them out of their home, to avoid that rolling tax. They'll sell it, take the capital gains, and then buy something smaller or whatever else. So it'll be great for me as a realtor. It'll increase the volume and the churn. We'll sell a whole lot more houses, and hey, you know, it'll free up some homes for younger Canadians to move into their first detached home. Perhaps most won't have the $2 or $3 million that these detached homes are at. But hey, I guess the thinking is, you know, if enough people sell, they'll flood the market to avoid the rolling tax, thus bringing down the prices as the inventory goes up. So it's all a lot of moving parts here, guys. So be wary. What I'll tell you guys, listen carefully to me here. I would say that if you were living in a home right now that you've lived in for 10, 15, 20, 30 years, and you've got $1 million, $2 million, $3 million of capital gains in there that is tax-free, it's your principal residence, and you are thinking of maybe selling in the next 2, 3, 4 years, you may want to get a jump on it. As a matter of fact, I would probably tell you probably a good idea to maybe list and sell that home before this tax comes into place. I don't know when that's going to be, later this year, next year, or the year after, but they want to tax it. So you may want to think of it. Now, if you are in a house, you just bought it 10 years ago, you got $1 million of equity in there, of appreciation, you like the home, you want to stay, then stay. Pay the rolling tax as it comes along. But it would only be for those people that are maybe thinking might be time to downsize, move out of province, sell, cash in. You may want to do that sooner or later. Give me a call. I'll be happy to give you an assessment of the home. Because again, that tax will be announced with very little notice. Once it's in place, they'll start charging that rolling tax, whether it's 1% or 2%. It might be something completely different than what I'm talking about here. Who knows? But once that starts, of course, there probably will be a large influx of sellers that want to avoid that tax. Let's sell. But if you get enough sellers at once, supply spikes, prices will come down. So you may want to get ahead of it before it happens. You can go online, you can look into this stuff. They're calling it a fairness tax. We'll see where it goes. I'm Owen Bigland. As always, thanks for watching. See you next week.